We are live. Hello, 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 everybody. Thank you for coming in tonight on a Wednesday night. Mr. Justin Wampus Cat is actually on the water and he is moving right now. So as soon as he gets set up somewhere and rods out, we'll be bringing him in. So until then, we're going to sit around and talk a little junk. Mr. K&B Angler was in first in here tonight. John Patrick Jr., Real Gals Fishing, the Mississippi, Mr. Avid. John Patrick Jr. Who else we got in here? There's James Kirkpatrick. Anglerholics. Lizabella. We've only got a few hanging out with us tonight. It's a crying shame, everybody. We got more coming in, though. Hopefully Justin and them be getting on some cats. They had to do some moving. There's Mike Irvin. Try to find some fishing spots that they went and checked. Didn't pan out too good, so they moving right here at dark 30. So hopefully they'll find them, and I believe they will, the place they're going to. So they are on Baden Lake here in North Carolina. Sound like somebody just pulled up my driveway. Sorry about that. Must have been a car going down the road. It sounded like somebody pulling in the driveway. There's Kentucky Catman in the house with us tonight. Thank you for coming in, Jim. Great show last night. Didn't get to see all of it, but oh, always. You know me, Jim. I don't leave home without it. It's like my pocket knife. It's always on me. Every time, all the time. Especially out here in the woods, and I don't worry too much about the four-legged critters. It's them two-legged critters that'll come up on you when you ain't, especially when you ain't got no neighbors. But yeah, they on Baden Lake. They got some good cut baits and some live baits. Be going for flatheads and blues, so we're liable to get to see a good flathead or blue tonight. At least I hope so. Hope we don't bring them some bad luck. Hope we bring them some good luck. They usually do pretty good up there at Baden. Now, his buddy with him, there might be a few words that get flown in if something happens or something goes down. So if your ears burn a little bit, you might want to stick your fingers in your ear every once in a while, because he promised he's going to try to be good, but we'll see. What's up, Dan Thompson? Yeah, he's caught, I think, Baden's where Justin got one or both of his PBs, blues and flatheads. I know he sent me a picture a couple years ago in the middle of the night, and he had a monster freaking flathead. And then about I don't remember how far apart they were. He sent me a big one of a blue he caught up there. What's up, Mr. Lyle Stokes? Did your package come in the mail yet? There's corn-fed experience. Mr. Corn-fed experience. Is Bill of Rights? There's Mr. Bill of Rights. What's up, Mark? Glad to see you in here. Mr. Melhorn. Like I said, Justin O'Wampus Cat's up on Baden Lake. And the guys that's here from around the Carolinas, y'all know where that's at. And hopefully they get on some fish tonight. They've been doing some searching most of the day and got some good baits. And I know they putting out big baits. There's Kelly from the Bullock Experience. But where's Lyle? Not yet. You should have it by any time, Lyle. It might be another day. There's my Lou Bells. Yeah, it might be another day before it gets there. Got a package for you too, Dieter. We need to meet up though. I want to hand deliver them. But he's probably going to throw out a float or two and then put out some on the bottom and see what they can round up there. So I hope everybody's doing good. International business. Well, there's a new face in here tonight, guys. Check them out. You know what I say? Share the love, share the bait. Oh, Kentucky's already on Dieter. Fishing JBT. What's going on? So anyway, we'll cover a few things before he gets in here, because it's liable to pop up at any time. Oh, that sounds like a winner to me. I'll meet you at Black's Barbecue. No doubt, any day. I can eat there 5 days a week. Kentucky, you know where that's at. Crazy ass. Crazy butt. I'm sorry. There's Wayne Smith's in the house with us tonight. Well, guys, everybody that's around the Carolinas or YouTubers that want to come in, Chad's throwing that fish-a-thon the 16th, the weekend that we was going to do the turn. I was going to do the tournament. So if you want to come hang out with us, y'all come on down. It's just a fish and have fun, maybe raise a little bit for Camp Centurion. But we got some more news about next year's tournament. It's going to be probably the same weekend as what this one is. Oh, excuse me. And it's a few more things added, a few more sponsors. So I think it's going to really turn out to be, and I want to do a captain's meeting next year. So I know it's kind of tough for those that live close enough to drive in the morning to the ramp, but not far enough away to come in and get a hotel. But I think that a captain's meeting, pictures and stuff like that would really go great. I'm gonna try to get all the veterans to show up that night too, because to let y'all get to meet them, get to meet who might be on your boat. And I think it'll just go over great. And we'll just sit down and have a meal, talk things over, and just have a good time. So that's another thing that I'm adding to next year's tournament. Jim, you don't have to go on opening day. I kind of got to work around other tournaments. I'll try to put in and look and see if I can get an earlier date. I definitely don't want to get a later date. A later date will put you into a crowded lake. And that makes it a lot tougher on Wiley. When Wiley gets crowded, that's a tough and aggravating lake. Well, my crazy cat done run a bat or something in here. But it is nice out here today. It's been 72 degrees today. What's up, Daddy Stone? Appreciate you coming in. Oh, I hear you. Yeah, Jim, I know that's kind of tough. I figured Dieter'd be up there right now, or getting ready to go up there. Yeah, he ain't messaging me saying he's coming back in yet. So yeah, there's a few things that we're gonna do that I've got planned different for next year's tournament. Yeah, it's nice here in the Carolinas too. I know it is in Georgia. Little rainy this morning, supposed to rain all day tomorrow. What's up, Central Valley Adventures? I took a little walk in the woods today, looked for a few morels. Didn't find none. I think my spot is drying up on me. I hope not, but it looks like it. It's a little early here. The poison ivy ain't quite putting no leaves out yet. Usually when they start putting out, I'll start finding them. I know the dogwoods are blooming, so the crappie's on the banks. People ought to be wearing the crappie out right now. You got storms there now. Yeah, they'll be headed our way. They didn't call them for it tomorrow. Storms tomorrow. I don't know, about 5 o'clock in the morning when they said they're gonna roll in here. So I've been seeing some pigs, y'all. I've been seeing some of y'all catching some big old fish. Been getting some messages of fish that's being caught. If you can get out there and get on them. I know I miss it so bad. It's been a year since I've been on the water. And that's a shame. That's a crying shame. But I will be fishing with y'all down there at the YouTube gathering on Wiley. We're going to have fun. Wide open, real gals. Wide open. We'll get slowed down sooner or later, but it's coming. It's coming. What's up, Mr. Fishing Fetish? And hopefully y'all get to see me on the water a little more, because a lot of you that's in here now has never seen me fish unless you went back and watched some of my old videos. And I do apologize. The fire's near Gatlinburg. Don't get doused by the storms. Oh, I hear you, Dieter. I hear you, boy. I don't watch TV no more, guys and gals, so I don't get to catch no news or nothing like that. I just catch whatever comes every day. I seen you, Jim. I see what you put up there. It didn't slip by. What's up, Chad Nolte? But yeah, the warmer weather's coming. I don't know. Dieter, you been on Wiley lately? See what the water temperature is? Last I heard, it was bumping right at 60. What's up, Creole? Pontoon Jody. Don't forget their show Dock Tales is on tonight at 10 o'clock. Jason Lamb. Appreciate everybody coming in. Mr. Lefford, they must be having a spot to try to get set up and get their rods out before they come in. Yeah, I knew there was going to be a couple people fishing. I was wanting to bring somebody in. Justin said he was going, so he's with a buddy of his in his boat. His pontoon is not through yet. He's taking care of life stuff first. I can't wait till he gets it running, because I can't wait to see how it's going to run. See, Junior Proctor's been working on building another boat. Oh, I understand that. Get that money. Water temps was 58 Monday, probably 60, 63 now. There you go, guys and gals. Perfect temperature right there. Perfect temperature. God, I need to be on that water. I should be out there on the water with them tonight and do the show from the boat. What I should have done. But I was too busy, guys and gals. Got to get these things built. They selling good. So if you ain't never got any, you want to try them, just give me a holler. What's up, Chad? I figured you'd be in here tonight. Sorry, I ain't got nothing really a whole lot to talk about, guys and gals, except I was hoping they'd be ready to come in right away, but the fish is telling them to do something else. Be working on my bass tracker, making it multi-species boat. There you go. And I mean, all boats, to me, all boats is multi-species if you want to catch them. Now, whether you want to target just that specific fish. Oh, I hear you, Pontoon Jody. Or to be a good show. I like fishing for them all. And like y'all have heard me say probably 1,000 times, learning your bait fish is just as important as learning the catfish. Because you got to be able to catch bait fish in order to catch the bigger catfish. Yeah, you can get lucky with chicken or something like that. Dieter's proven that. What's up, Joe Newman? But I think if you're going to specifically target bigger fish, you need to go with a more natural bait. Not to say that they won't eat those other baits, but I think if more on average, then that's what's going to take place. I'll let him know. I'll be talking to him tomorrow, KB, and Chad can tell him too if he wants to. They're gonna all meet down there at the dock. I'll tell you tomorrow, Dieter, what's going on. Oh yeah, you're right. You're right, KB, Kevin. There's times when some of those deep V hulls and pontoons can't get in some of the shallow waters as some of these other boats. You can ask Kevin. He run ashore on Lake Wiley up there last year with my tournament, and that's some skinny water back through there. But you got to have the right tool for the trade. That's like I've always said. Each your hook, your rod, your reel, your sinkers, everything are tools to me. Your tackle pack to me is a toolbox. It's got everything you need to do the job. Yeah, almost. I'm telling you, I got stuck back up in there. Well, I didn't get completely stuck, but when your daggum motor is kicking up mud and you can just about touch the bottom, reaching overside the boat, that's pretty skinny water. I had to back out real slow or I'd have stuck my pontoon up. And I think yours is a little bit bigger than mine. If you stick a pontoon, boy, you've got it stuck. It's tough. Yep, it's a tough one. What's there's Mark? Catfishing Crappy. What's going on, buddy? That's a great tournament. Can't wait to see the one-on-one. That's going to be fun. So let's figure out something we can talk about, guys. I'm sure Justin is probably headed to some shallower water, and I'm just guessing. I've never fished baiting. He's told me a few spots that he goes to. I know his buddy went down there and got a bunch of them big old giant shaft from Jamie K, and they've got some crappie. They're going to try to get some perch. They might have done got some perch. Well, I ain't even going to try to say that name. Just come in here from South Carolina. You're welcome in the house with us tonight. Don't forget, guys, check out a new channel, Shadow Love, Shadow Debate. If you don't mind, hit a few thumbs up for me while we're waiting on Wampus Cat to come in. And I hope the spot they're going to actually has a signal. That might be a problem too. Baiden's got some dead areas in it. There's Miss Cindy Stokes. But the transition right now, and some of you might correct me, from river to lake. The biggest piece is probably about the size of your hand. But I caught a big old channel cat on about 11-pound channel cat on brim that was probably a 6-inch brim, live brim, actually freelining, but nothing but a swivel on it. But my biggest blue come on about a 2.5-pound largemouth, the head of it. So it was probably about that big. And I got pretty good sized hands. So it was a pretty good sized bait. And I've caught my largest channel cat, 16-pound, come on a little crappie jig, flick tail. So go figure. Go figure. It's crazy. And I've caught nice fish on worms, on small baits. That's what I'm saying. I think if you got the right bait and the fish are hungry, they're going to eat. Sometimes I don't care. I don't think they really care what it is. And this time of year, they're going to start filling their bellies. They're going to start putting on some fat, getting ready for the spawn coming up in June. So they're going to be putting on some weight. They're going to be thickening up from the winter. I thought I missed a question coming in here. But I do like big baits. A lot of times it keeps your dinks from pecking you to death. And then sometimes this time of year, them dinks will wear a big bait out. They'll eat that thing down to nothing. But you can pretty much tell if that's happening, then you need to move on. I mean, you're right, Creole. It's I throw the biggest baits I can get my hands on. I'll say that. Now, sometimes I can go down there and me and the bait don't get along, and all I catch is a bunch of them little old 4 and 5 inch little old brim. Um, they wouldn't even make a good sandwich between 10 of them. And then I open fillet them. I fillet them from the head back to the tail and open them up like that. So as you're pulling them or whatever, it's like a reverse flapper. To me, that gives me a bigger presentation of the bait. And more smell. What's up, Robbie? Fishing with Robbie. There's Miss D's in the house. Well, we're trying to get him to come in, guys and gals. He must be having trouble finding some fish to set up on, or they had to make a long run. I hope they had something happen to the boat. But he's on a brand new boat with his buddy, and hopefully they ain't out joyriding. They going to their catfish hole. These are some serious fishermen, guys. One of them don't do the YouTube, the Facebook. He's but he loves to fish. What, baby girl? Yeah, you're right. You're right, Kevin. It's Creole caught was on a 14-inch gizzard shad cut into a flapper, caught a 40-pounder. Yeah, I mean, agreed. There's quite a few of us in here know Shane from Rod Hogs. A lot of you was in a tournament last year, guys. They give away a bunch of hats and stuff. He loves throwing big 16-inch baits. 15, he's had some slammers with big 15, 16-inch crappie. Me, 16-inch crappie, nah, that's in the grease. I might use the head for bait, but the rest of it's going in the grease. I've never thrown anything quite that big. Now, this pond I've been trying to get back into so I can show y'all some big brim is you could average, I'm talking about average 3/4 of a pound for one brim, big brim. And we'd always cook the bodies and keep the heads for bait, for catfish bait. And that makes good bait. You know, when you get a bait that's, a 4-finger head, that's good bait. What's up, Jay Catfishing? Yeah, I have to put them bait in food. That stuff is food to me. It ain't bait, that's food. I think I probably like, to me, the head is, to me, some of the best baits, but there are times when that centerpiece catches more fish than the heads. Yeah, some big old heads. That's what I like. And, guys, I'm going to get back to using lighter weight. And let's talk about that here for a few minutes while we're waiting on Justin to try to get in. Slicker head for the win. I hear you. To me, when I got back into catfishing, I think it's a little over 5 years ago now. Back then, I used the least amount of weight that I could get away with to keep my bait in place. I can understand y'all guys out on the river. Y'all are pretty much, the river current is pretty much going to dictate what size weight you need. Fishing from the bank, sometimes to really get your long distance cast, you need big weight, heavy weight. you throw big bait, you don't really need that much weight, just enough to get that bait to stay where you want it. The wind can play a big thing in it to an extent, especially if you're bait fishing. Well, boat fishing too, the wind can catch your line and be pulling, and if you ain't got enough weight, it can start moving your baits. Well, patience has really become a virtue for me, because if I'm sitting still and the wind's moving my bait just a little bit, guess what? It ain't no different than drifting or dragging. It's moving my bait maybe in front of a catfish. I don't know. Yeah, Jim, I love bluegill. I like any bait, man. I like the perch. If I can find the cotton picking things. Now, if I can find them, I can catch them. Can't find them, can't catch them. Especially on Wiley. There's tons of the white perch. I don't know about y'all's area. Finding the cats no matter what size the baits. And we are blessed here in the Carolinas. I know y'all have heard Dieter say it. We've got so many lakes right here close within driving distance. It's crazy. And good quality lakes. Oh, I hear you, squirrel. Get up a good mess of crappie. Get you some. Want to be outdoors. So, the reason I'm saying that, to me, the least amount of weight that you can get away with is going to make that bait look more natural. The more natural you can get that bait, because really, guys and gals, if you really think about it, and me and Justin's talked about this quite a bit, how much actual dead and cut up fish are in the water for the cats to eat? I mean, that's a question that can't be answered, and I know that. Unless you're going to be out there diving in that water 24/7, covering all that water, there's no really way to tell that. I imagine that some gets cut up by props. Oh, excuse me. But on the lake, like we fish, there's no hydro dam above us, so there's no turbines to cut fish up on a drum. I hear you. Yeah, I mean, if a fish is hungry, they're gonna eat. I mean, that's just nature. They gotta eat, just like us. When we get hungry, we're gonna eat. Do sometimes certain times of the year, do they have a preference? Who's to say? I always try to use the bait that is spawning. Largemouth and spots usually, well, largemouth I know start in March, and usually March, April area, depends on the weather. Your crappie start going to the bank. And then summertime, you got brimmed out. Every full moon, or every new moon, they will spawn. So that's twice a month. And that ain't counting your shad, your perch, and your other bait fish. So that's kind of what I use. And this is me. This is my style of lake fishing. I'm not a river fisherman. But I'm sure what's up, Mr. Gadget? I'm sure that some of that transitions over to rivers also. But it's like I said, y'all have heard me 1,000 times, and I hate to repeat myself, but there's a few people in here that hasn't been on none of the shows, or maybe missed them shows. If you've ever been into the back where there's tons of bedding areas, if you go back there, when those fish are bedding, there's a smell to that air. You can smell it in the air. And you know what's up running late. And you know good and well, if we can smell it above the water, the catfish are going to smell it under the water or going to taste it or whatever. Yeah. You don't think I won't put tread fin on a daggum hook? I might put about 20 of them on a hook, but I'll load it up with it. I've caught tons of fish with tread fin shad. When that's the only thing you can get for bait, especially in the wintertime, I love it. But that's before I thought about using chicken too. But still, I still love it. And if you can find a hot hole in the wintertime, then you can load up. What's up, LG Bass? You can load, most time you can load up on some tread fin shad. That's just the nature of the beast. They usually run in there by schools, and every once in a while you might grab a gizzard running with them. But back to the weight size. We all, for some reason, since I've been back on here and I've seen people using, when I first got on here, I started out using 2s and slide sinkers. Back in the day, it's a Carolina rig or a Santee rig. That's basically all we use, which is a Santee rig with a float. But now, well, back in the day, I've done a lot of freelining, guys and gals, or freelining underneath the float, or just a split shot, just enough to pull that bait down. I wanted that bait to flow as natural as it can. I use longer leaders. Now, underneath the float, I use shorter leaders. I don't want to go no longer than a 1 foot leader fishing under a float. Yeah, Jody. Yes. Go on my Facebook page, the Patriot Float page, and got quite a few guys will show you some big flatheads they're catching using the floats. Big time. That's what they primarily chase. In fact, a couple of them, they're not even blues in their water. Sorry, I got a scratchy throat, guys. Sorry about that. I keep having to drink something down. And when I ain't never seen them either. Never seen them spit out chicken livers. I know them channel cats love a chicken liver, though. And I still, guys and gals, and I meant to tell Justin to do it tonight. When my boat goes out, from now on, I'm going to carry a bucket of chicken livers and a bucket of worms. And there's going to be days when you mark some of those big fish, and ain't no little ones with it, just some big fish. And you put your baits down, and no matter what you put down, they won't eat. That's when I want y'all to reel up at least 1 or 2 of your rods and load one down with worms and one down with chicken livers and put it back on their head and tell me what the results are. I believe they'll eat it. If you think about it, that catfish has eaten night crawlers or worms since it's been born. Been eating bugs and worms since it's been born. Yeah, I mean, yeah, catfish is going to eat if they're hungry and you put food in front of them, edible food. I mean, there's some stink baits out there. I've seen some rotten baits. I know a guy that uses rotten channel cats as bait and catches the fool out of some big fish. Can be frozen or fresh. I like fresh as I can get. Now, what's up, Jose Fishing? Now, I will freeze the heads because the heads don't get mushy like the bodies of some fish. Now, running late, yes, I have. Fly fishing and trout fishing, I have used some feathers to to catch fish. I sure have. I got some floating popper flies down there at the house. I love brim fishing with that's got feathers on them. And I actually had a bass lure that looked like a small bird. It had a rubber body and it actually had rubber wings on it, but they looked kind of like feathers. It was the thin. I ain't seen one of those in years, but that rascal, it would set on the surface of the water. And when you jerk it, the wings would flap in the water. And son, you talking about some top water action, but that was an expensive bait. I liked it because it had some weight on it, so you could set sideways on the bank. You could throw that son of a gun down the bank a long ways and then work it. Yeah, fresh is always better. It really is. But now the skipjack, from what I understand, we don't have skipjack here. Um, I've seen some of it, and that stuff stays pretty freaking good if it is put up right, frozen and done right. Flash freezing, then it locks everything in. Gizzard shad, you can freeze it, but I wouldn't keep it froze longer than a week or so. It's just, to me, it turns to mush. There's Mr. Lance in the house with us tonight. Yeah, Justin must be having trouble. But yeah, I've got to get out there, guys and gals, and because I have no clue what they're doing right now. Get a vacuum sealer that'll keep them fresher. Oh yeah, most definitely. Had one for years. Now, if I'm going to eat fish, I like it fresh. I mean, I guess them years of pond hopping really got me spoiled because we used to set up a dadgum fryer. We'd have one guy fishing, one guy cleaning fish, and one guy cooking. And some of them fish that hit the grease still wiggling. But you don't get no better eating than that. Some eggs, some house aldrich, salt and pepper, little cayenne, you ready to roll. So, well, we got 40 people in here, and I'm boring y'all tonight. I wasn't prepared for them not to be able to come in. God, I was, but I wasn't. Figured we'd just talk a little junk tonight. Yeah, that's what I started doing. Creole, like if I go down to Jamie's, gonna get some of those big old giant shad. And though it might be a couple days before I get to go fishing, I usually take a cooler already made up. And then as soon as we pull the shad out of his tanks, I stick them right in that ice water solution, that brine solution, and they usually stay pretty good. I'll keep them on that till I get home, and then I'll dry them down, vacuum seal them, and throw them on ice or throw them in the freezer and freeze them good and solid, and they're good to go. Yeah, about 8 o'clock is what Chad is saying before when we all take off. I say take off, but it ain't a tournament; it's just a gathering. So it gets going whenever it gets going, I guess. When everybody gets there and gets started, shake hands, hug necks, or whatever you want to do. Maybe hang around afterwards and go get a meal. Oh, daggone pollen must be killing me today. Let's see where they at. Sorry about this, guys. I'm boring the crap out of y'all tonight. Send them a message as to make sure they okay. Make sure they ain't done run into some trouble. I think it's about an hour and a half, 2 hour drive for me to get up there. Don't think I wouldn't. Yes, sir. I would say that's what time I plan on being down there, about 6:30, 7 o'clock that morning. So I'm gonna drag that pontoon with me and put that old pontoon to work. Yeah, y'all still there. Appreciate it, Creole. He said they're trying to get anchored up. They're having trouble. The wind's killing them up there right now. And I think they're in like a 23-foot sea arc or something like that. Big old boats catching them. What's up, Flathead Luke's in the house with us tonight? Uh, so he might make it in, he might not. Sorry about that. We tried. Yeah. Yeah, y'all got the patience of Job. I appreciate it. But back to weights, just so I can fill in the time slot. Weight, I figured out a long time ago using nothing but a swivel, a leader, and a hook. Free lining is probably the most natural presentation. Is it feasible all the time? No. Now I see chat cats using it in some places I never would have thought about using. I always done it mainly in shallow waters or around creek bridges. When I say creek bridges, when you got a lot of y'all call creeks, we might call small rivers out here. But when you got a river channel, a creek channel coming into the main, anywhere you got a wide water that narrows down at bridges and then spreads back out in a lake, not a river, but in a lake, even when they're not pulling water, you will always have a little bit of current right there. Not a whole lot, but just a little bit. This is where this bait comes in handy because then you can throw it upstream. These are guys for bank fishing. You can throw this bait upstream, and that bait, if there's a little bit of current, won't go all the way to the bottom. It'll usually suspend a little bit and it'll meander on down through the current as the most natural way that it can, just like another piece of bait coming through there. But, and that's a big but, being a freeliner, you have to be a line watcher. You have to be. If you don't, that fish could be swimming towards you and you never see it coming. And that's the downside, is that then that chance, you risk a chance of gut hooking a fish. That's one of the reasons I don't really like it. I love it, tell you the truth, I love it, but you really got to be a line watcher. So, a technique that I learned to do is to use one of those little floats that you use like for your Santee rigs, the skinny floats, not the big fat ones people are using now, but the skinny ones. And oh, I hear you, Gio. It's on down the lake, I guess. But and I'll put it on the side of the rod side of the swivel. But I do not peg it. Understand what I'm saying? I do not peg it. I let it slide free. And it's down next to the swivel when you cast it. And then it's going to stay at the surface as that thing feeds down through there. But it's not going to just slide way up your line and just be useless. This will help you follow your line, that float. It will stay at the surface wherever your line is feeding out through, and you will be able to watch it. So if you see this float going back upstream from current, then you pretty much going to say that something's got a hold of it. I hear you, Luke. Come on. When y'all got snowed on, no, we was putting out at Buster Board Bridge KMB when we had our last tournament, where everybody's meeting at this time. But now y'all might have shot down to Allison. Yeah, Allison's a little bit bigger than just a creek. It's mainly part of the lake. It's a big creek. They call it Allison Creek because it's a smaller creek that feeds it, but it's a good spot. I like getting up in the shallows back there. Shallow water freelining can be fun, fun, fun. Shallow water fishing is fun, fun, fun. Anyway, yeah, my first tournament my first tournament was at Bustable, where everybody's meeting this time. The second one was at South Point. Allison, let's see, the first one down is Crowder's Creek. And then Allison's on down next to an island. Yeah, so y'all might have went down there to it. I can't remember, Jim. But I was thinking y'all went up lake. I can't remember, right? Richard told y'all some place to go. Y'all might have went to Allison. Because Richard was telling y'all some places to go. Oh, y'all traveled up to Allison. Okay. Yeah. Allison's actually down lake from the Buster Board Bridge. Yeah. Yeah. You're right, Jim. But, you know, April is the time that the fish are. All fish don't move up north. All fish don't move south in the wintertime and north in the summer. They can't be. There ain't enough water for all the fish to be hanging out in one spot. But don't be scared to try something different, guys and gals. Don't be scared to act like you're bass fishing for catfish. I'm telling you, you put a big live bait on a jig and flick it out around bridge pylons, I got a feeling that you're going to get your feelings hurt or make your day, one of the two. It's got to happen. I've got videos of guys using big rubber saltwater jigs to catch flatheads. And most of the time, the ones I've seen so far, they're behind dams, pitching that stuff out around big boulders and rocks and structure. But they are getting a reaction bait. I mean, a reaction bite. The same thing with bass fishing. That's what you're doing. You're going after a reaction bite. That fish sees something coming and he grabs it. He ain't taking time to taste it, smell it, look at it. All he does is see it in a flash of a second. He makes that sweet. He makes that second thought in his mind. Do I want to eat it or do I want to let it go? And a flathead catfish, everything's bait to him. Everything. A 2-pound carp and a 20-pound largemouth ain't nothing. He can swallow it. Oh yeah, can be. I've caught so many freaking catfish on bass baits, big rubber worms. I've never caught one on a spinnerbait. I've caught them on crankbaits. They'll kill a crankbait. I've caught them on pigs and jigs and crawfish, rubber worms and lizards. But I've yet to catch one on a spinnerbait, and I'm surprised because I used to throw the crap out of a spinnerbait. I could skip a spinnerbait underneath the freaking dock. They used to use that daggum half-ounce Hank Parker chartreuse and white spinnerbait, double willow leaf. Yeah. But yeah, I've caught. So don't think that a catfish, if you put bait right on his nose, he's going to eat. He's got to. Except at times, unless he's laying there fat and sassy and just filled up his gut. That's when I think a hook full of worms will work. Never caught a catfish on an artificial bait in 47 years you've been fishing. I'm really surprised, Jim. I'm really surprised, boy. I have caught so many. Mainly back in the day, it was channel cats. But there's been a few flatheads caught in other lakes that has flatheads because that's Wiley back then didn't have flatheads and blues. But I think the biggest blue I've caught maybe 20 pounds on artificial. but the lake was not known for big fish, or it wasn't back then to me. Now today, it is a mega lake for fishing. In fact, it was watery. Yeah, it was watery. Um, yeah, I ain't caught jack, man. It's sad. I ain't caught nothing in a year. I ain't been fishing in a year. Sad. Jim, me and you got to get our tails back out on the water. Everybody else has been doing some fishing, but me and you. But anyway, guys, it don't look like Justin is going to make it in tonight. I do apologize for that. I guarantee where they going, they ain't got a signal. Rebel Duke Outdoors always catch catfish with long lining for crappie. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Crappie fisherman knows good and well. Crappie fishing this time of year, throwing against them banks, there's going to be a lot of times when that ultralight reel get the line ripped off of it, boy. Many times. Now, sometimes it might be an old largemouth grab it. A lot of times, though, it'd be an old catfish up there loading up on crappie or crappie minnows or whatever's up there around their spawning areas. They'll be in there feeding. I've caught so many on a crappie jig, it's unreal. It's crazy. Blows my mind that a catfish wants to eat something that small. Just a little bitty flick tail. And y'all know my favorite colors of jigs and stuff, and that's black. I like black jigs, black bait, black bobbers. Oh, I hear you, boy. Yeah, that's what I said. Shout the love, share the bait. Rebel Duke Outdoors. Appreciate you coming in, my friend. Don't forget to like it. If you like what you see, don't just hit the thumbs up. Subscribe and check us out. We try to do this every Wednesday. Been doing it going on 3 years. I need to look at the date and see when my date is. Yeah. And I've tried to explain that's why I use black at night. People say, God, you're using black at night? Think about it. Fish are looking up. What are you fussing about? Fish are looking up. Black creates a shadow. Other colors don't really create that much of a shadow. Black does. Further down in the water, the bigger that shadow gets. They can zero in on black at night. I promise you, they can see it and they will hammer it. Nighttime bass fishing, I throw black buzz baits. I throw black crankbaits. I throw black spinner baits. A lot of them baits is hard to find. You'd have to paint them or dye the skirts or something, yourself. But I promise you, you will like it. I mean, I like black floats when I'm in Carolina. Santee rigs. If you can find the black floats or paint them yourself, I promise you, they will. To me, they can see it better in dingy, dirty water. I know some colors. I've heard that the only color don't change a whole lot in deeper water is pink. I don't know. I've never dove with something colorful underneath the water. I've dove with stuff that looks about natural and muddy, gold mining, but I've never dove down to see what color floats work. So I know black does. And I'm kind of one of them, don't fix it if it ain't broke. Yeah, don't fix it if it ain't broke. But still catching slabs. Oh, I hear you, squirrel. You're gonna make me go to the pond tomorrow. I'm gonna have to break out the daggum. I'm gonna have to break out the cotton picking crappie rods and go get me some minnows and go to the pond behind the house. Got some big old black crappie in that rascal. But it got so bad a couple years ago, got so low, they took a hard hit. The demon dragons. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that's true to an extent, Kevin. And the reason I say to an extent is I've dove in the water breathing air under the water, submerged, in a pretty good sized river, our Broad River, and it's noisy down there. When you underneath that water and that water's rushing by you, rushing over your head, bubbling around rocks, stirring up, moving gravels, moving tiny rocks and sticks and stuff like that, you really would be surprised at how much noise is under that water until you dive in it. If and Lord help if there's any boats or anything around, it's noisy. My theory on that is if that fish, I mean, don't get me wrong, I've had catfish crush peg floats, just crush them, tear them all to pieces. So they hit the float. But my theory is on the rattling baits, rattling shads, demon dragons, whatever you want to use, is that when that fish grabs that bait and that rattle shakes, he can feel it. I guess he can hear it. They got a lateral line that they can feel vibration, electronic, just impulses and stuff like that. To me, I always seemed like I had a stronger pull down if they hit something with a demon dragon on it or the rattling shad or whatever you want to call them. It seems like when they hit it and that rattles right there beside their face, it seems like they just grab it and want to crush it and go with it, just take off with it. And I don't know if they think they're getting away from another fish or something's trying to get it. I don't know. Yeah, and that's a constant noise. Yeah, you're exactly right. Kevin, I mean, when it comes down to nature, nature is really curious. They really are. I've seen tons of deer and turkey and stuff watching me bush hog. Loud bush hog banging rocks and stumps and making all kind of freaking racket, and look out in the edge of the woods and see deer and turkey and stuff watching. So yeah, they're curious. And I'm sure it's the same way in the fish world. They're curious. But I mean, as far as to me, down in a lake, if you're dragging baits, by all means, I think that noise is going to travel a little bit further and maybe draw some curiosity to them. But unless it's coming by that fish 10 foot away, that fish is never going to hear it. He's going to taste it before he hears it or feels it because there's just so much going on in that water. Yeah, it's a constant noise, but it's also a changing noise because rocks and gravel and stuff like that being moved around. But that's just a theory. I mean, I'm not a fish. I couldn't tell you. But Squirrel, Jim, everybody, appreciate y'all joining me in here tonight. Sorry that Justin couldn't get in here with us. We'll try it another night. I was hoping he could do it. But that being said, God bless y'all. God bless America. And don't forget, guys and gals, that let me do something right quick. That you can still go on the Camp Centurion website, their page. If I can get out of the cotton picking way, you can go on their page, Facebook page, and their website, make a donation. It's all we can do to help our veterans, our paramedics, fire and EMS. And, you know, we got nurses that's in here too. God bless you. God bless America. And we'll see y'all on the water. Good night, everybody.